Previously on X-Men.
Stay tuned and let's do a recap and ranking of this Marvel Legends X-Men VHS line. Pow and welcome back to the channel, Dan Who Reviews. As always, my name is Dan W. Make sure you are following me on Instagram at It's Dan Who, and remember now you can hit that join button and become a channel member as well. Either show some love or join the members club. Much appreciated. Today we are doing a recap and a ranking of this Marvel Legends VHS X-Men line, as we have come to the end of the year and Hasbro have already confirmed that this is it. We are getting no more VHS X-Men figures, at least for the foreseeable future, as in 2023 they are moving the gimmick over to the Spider-Man animated series. Now, whether or not this line comes back, it is a fun opportunity to just recap and rank the 8 figures we got in 2022. Now, there are some hits and some misses in this line, and it was an opportunity for people to pick up characters they may have missed out on, but it is of course a tribute to that 90s animated show, and to the gimmick they have added some cel shading to these figures, which, as I said, has been a topic of conversation amongst the community. Some love it, some hate it. So as always, let me preface this by saying this list is just a little bit of fun. It's the end of the year, we love recapping and doing this type of stuff, so this is just my list on today. My opinion will change tomorrow and the day after that and the day after that. It's just to stir up some conversation, so please get involved. Let me know in the comments below your top 3 VHS X-Men figures. I'm going to do my top 8 today, as we have 8 figures from my least favourite, with number 1 being my favourite VHS X-Men figure. So without further ado, let's get into it. At number 8, I'm going with Miss Jelly-Legged Jean Grey, and that is her full name because this figure is not good. The whole gimmick of this line is to be more accurate to the animated show, but this figure actually is less accurate to the animated show than the previous Jean Greys we've got. It makes no sense. I understand her inclusion in this VHS line, as we needed the X-Men Trinity in the first lineup. We needed Wolverine, Cyclops and Jean Grey. She's important to the animated show, but they didn't even tweak the hairstyle, so the hairstyle's wrong. The hair colour is completely wrong. Her hair was never that bright orange. As I said, the previous Love Triangle Jean Grey is actually more accurate to the animated show than this one. They didn't update anything on the figure. You've still got the jelly legs, pins in the legs, single jointed elbows. Mine had a crack in it. Not the biggest fan of this figure. I think this character and this costume design is definitely worthy of an upgrade of some sort, and this figure wasn't it. So for me, number 8. And number 7, I'm controversially going with Mr. Sinister. Now, the figure itself is all well and good. It's a re-release of the 2018 version we've got, but now with the added cel shading, which does make it more accurate to the animated show. However, for me, if I had to pick 8 characters from the X-Men animated series to make in this line, Mr. Sinister probably wouldn't even be in the top 10. I understand the inclusion for villains in this line as well, but there are definitely some other characters from the animated series that would justify being in this line before Mr. Sinister. And they didn't upgrade anything either with this guy. Not that the figure's bad, as I said, but for me, I just don't instantly think Mr. Sinister 90s animated series. There are definitely some other characters I would have preferred, but I understand you've got to throw some villains in there. So yeah, Mr. Sinister, the only one that came in this thicker deluxe box as well. Still a nice figure, but for me, number 7. And number 6, I am going with Mystique. And to be completely honest, I think my love for the character of Mystique has helped push her up the rankings a little bit here, because she should have been dead last with Jean Grey, to be completely honest, as again, it's a re-release of an old, outdated body. And what's even worse is that the actual box art promised us the potential of a double jointed, pinless Mystique. That was the figure we all wanted. It was on the box, but the figure we got was the same old single jointed elbows, pins in the knees, and it's just very disappointing. But the reason she jumps past Mr. Sinister is because Mystique, the character, was harder to get in the Legends line than Mr. Sinister was. He was part of a regular Build-A-Figure wave, but Mystique was part of a Walgreens exclusive wave. So she was definitely harder for the average average collector to get in their collection. So people were welcoming this re-release, cel shading or not. And of course, they included little baby Kurt as well, which was an interesting repaint of the baby Hulk. So again, I'm well aware, not the greatest of figures, but I do really like Mystique. I understand her inclusion in this line, and my love for her has helped push her up the rankings to 6. And number 5, I'm going with Jubilation Lee Jubilee. Now, her inclusion in this VHS line makes so much sense, as she was a main player in that series. So, of course, she needed to be included in this first set of figures. And they did tweak the re-release to be more accurate to the show, as you now have the yellow gloves, you got the 2 interchangeable heads and the glasses. So it was a nice opportunity to add Jubilee into your Marvel Legends collection, cel shading or not. She probably could have squeezed in there, and it makes sense for her to be in this VHS line as well. But I just again think my love for other characters has pushed them a little bit higher here. But I do like Jubilee, the figure's not bad at all, and if you missed out on any previous version of Jubilee, then this one is fair game to get. And yeah, she makes sense for the VHS line, not mad about it, but unfortunately, number 5. And number 4, and the highest ranked female on this list, we have Storm. And what can I say? I really like this Storm figure. If you watch this channel, then you hear me say Mind's Eye all the time, as I want my Mind's Eye of the character represented in plastic in my collection. And this, cel shading or not, is my Mind's Eye of Storm. That white costume from the animated series. I know in the comics sometimes it was white, it was grey, it was black, but for me, my Mind's Eye of Storm will always be white because of that animated show. And the thick black lines here actually complement the look and the body of Storm. The big white hair, she's got the same hands as that previous Storm with the lightning coming out the fingertips. Get her on a flight stand and she makes for a very nice display piece. If they had upgraded the body here so it was double jointed and pinless, she could have easily have been number 1. That's how much I like this figure, but it is just a redo of the previous Storm with some new parts. But still, probably my favourite Storm in my collection, and she lands at number 4. And number 3, taking home the bronze medal, but still has a podium place, it is Wolverine. And yes, even I'm surprised he lands at 3rd place. He could have probably been higher, but I think we've had Wolverine for a good while now. He was one of the first figures we got way earlier in the year, so maybe some of the newer figures I've still got that new figure shine on me. But this Wolverine is undoubtedly still very nice. One of the best Wolverines in my collection. That cowl is probably the most iconic Mind's Eye version of Wolverine we have in figure form. The new claws are much nicer as well. He came with a frame that now Hellfire Hank holds at the end of every review. So I do really like this figure. But we do know now they have a pinless body for Wolverine, and this figure still has the pins. If this was pinless without cel shading, it could be the best Wolverine in the Tiger Stripe uniform, full stop, period. Maybe we get that in the future, but for now he is up there with one of the best figures, and maybe tomorrow he'd be my number 1, but right now he's number 3. I have been going back and forth when it comes to deciding my top 2 here. So as of this moment, right now, press and record, Cyclops is number 2. This is the latest figure to be released in this VHS line. I've only just done a review on the channel, so go and check that out. But this is the desperate upgrade we needed for the Jim Lee Cyclops. The old one was on the Bucky Cap body, the harness straps would fall all over the place, and this is the upgrade that Cyclops, the leader of the X-Men and a staple of that animated show, deserves in figure form. So this is on a brand new pinless body, a variation of the Vulcan body and the Morph body we'll get to shortly, as it's got the straps sculpted in there which hide the articulation. The harness piece is all sculpted to the torso as well, so that isn't falling all over the place. Completely pinless, butterfly joints, he comes with interchangeable hands. This again, like Wolverine, probably could have been number 1 and probably would have been number 1 if you asked me yesterday, but it's not yesterday, it's today, and I think the other character deserves a little bit more love. But this is undoubtedly one of the best Cyclops we have in our collection. The only thing that lets it down for me personally is the cel shading. I want a comic variation of this Jim Lee outfit now on this body, but it isn't the comic line, is it? It's the VHS line. So he deserves his silver medal. The runner-up, Cyclops. And that means at number 1, taking home the gold medal as the best Marvel Legends X-Men VHS figure of 2022, it is of course Morph. Now, let's be honest, people. Morph is perfect for this VHS line. A tribute to that 90s animated series. And Morph, the character, was created for the animated show. He is perfect for this line and a gap that we have needed filling in our collection for a long time. And they filled that gap so well as they gave us both heads, so you could have good guy Morph from the early episodes or bad guy Morph from a little bit later on when he gets corrupted by Mr. Sinister, who we have in this wave as well. He has also got updated legs that we've seen for the first time on this body, double jointed pinless, and they actually have the sculpted pieces in at the thigh and the boots, which was the first time we've seen that. He's got the single jointed elbows on the jacket, but the torso piece is new with the butterfly joints in there, and just overall a very aesthetically pleasing and a solid representation of Morph the character. And I think when it came down to ranking this sort of line, yes, I prefer Wolverine and Cyclops as characters, but when it comes to the importance of characters for the VHS line in particular, Morph is the only new character we got in this line, and he was a gap we needed filling, and he was a character created for the VHS show, well, for the animated show. Do you know, he is perfect, and the figure is a beautiful job as well. They did a really good job here. It's the only figure as well that I want to buy two of because I want to display both versions, both good and bad Morph. So you let me know in the comments, how are you displaying your Morph? Good guy Morph or evil Morph, or are you like me and probably going to end up with two on the shelf? But I'm sure tomorrow my opinion may be different, but I'm giving today Morph the love he deserves. Number one, Morph. So there we have it, my recap and ranking of this Marvel Legends VHS X-Men line of 2022. Please get involved in the comments below and give me your top 3 VHS figures. Go crazy, give me your top 8 if you want to. I promise I'll read them all. There are no wrong answers here unless you put Jean Grey at number 1. Then you are definitely wrong. But all jokes aside, not saying my list is correct. My list will change tomorrow like it always does. This is just a bit of fun. And this line is a bit of fun as the VHS box art is just a plastic-free packaging gimmick, let's be honest, but it's a gimmick that works as they do look great on display, and I've come to appreciate this line as the figures have got rolled out throughout the year as they complement each other really well. And for me, it's a representation of that 90s animated show I love so much. If it weren't for those cartoons in the 90s, I wouldn't love Marvel as much as I do, and I wouldn't have been introduced to so many characters I still love to this day. So for me, these figures are going to go on their own shelf, on their own display, and maybe we'll get some more in 2024. We shall see. But as always, if you like Marvel Legends, then you're in the right place, people. Check out the videos tab, find the playlists, but most importantly, please hit that subscribe button, hit all on the notification bell, don't miss out on a video, and please hit that join button, become a channel member, either show some love or join the members club. Much appreciated. You can follow me on Instagram at It's Dan Who. I'm on Twitter as well at Dan Who Reviews. Tweet me, don't be shy. And as always, my name is Dan W, and I will of course see you on the next one.